HIV, you didn't take my voice. You gave me my voice, and I'm using it. I was diagnosed with HIV in 2003. I got my results in a letter from the Red Cross. And in the letter, it stated that they had found HIV in my blood. I'm gonna cry. I didn't want to tell anybody that I had HIV at all. I mean, living in a small reservation was not something easy because everybody knows your business. Everybody knows what you're doing. I didn't know what to do at the time, so I kind of went reclusive and stayed in and didn't go anywhere. The virus in my blood was so strong that I lost hair on the top of my head and I looked almost bald. I mean, I was 220 T cells and millions and millions of virus in my blood, so I was very sick. I started taking meds about 2 weeks after I was diagnosed. I decided that I would because of my counts were so low, and I wanted to see, to get better, because I wanted it to feel better and not feel like I was so sluggish all the time. I've been taking them faithfully every day. My viral load is undetectable. I'm very happy that the medications are working, and so my T cells are off the charts, and very happy with what they are compared to what they used to be, which now they're 1683 for my last doctor's appointment. So I feel good. I don't feel like I have HIV at all. So to me, to live well means I'm going to live a long life, and that I'm going to touch many people's lives to educate them till I can't talk anymore. HIV treatment works. Get in care, stay in care, live well.
The brain is the command center for the entire body. It makes us who we are. It receives information from our senses and controls our thoughts and movement. To better explore this incredibly complex organ, scientists have divided it into parts and regions. The largest part is the cerebrum, which is divided into two sides called hemispheres, just like the Earth. The outer layer is known as the cortex, which is Latin for bark. Like a tree's bark, the surface is only 1/8 inch thick, but it also contains millions of cells with fibers that send messages to other brain areas. More than 2/3 of the surface of the cortex hides in hundreds of little folds that make the wiggly visible lines on the brain. Animals that are less intelligent have a smoother brain surface. The cortex is divided into 4 regions. The frontal lobe is for personality and emotions, higher thinking skills like problem solving and controlling movement. It continues to develop until you're in your mid-20s. The temporal lobe helps process your hearing and other senses, and helps with language and reading. The parietal lobe is involved with your senses, attention, and language. The occipital lobe helps your eyes see, including recognition of shapes and colors. The thalamus in the center of the brain relays sensory and motor information to the cortex and helps with consciousness, sleep, and alertness. 12 pairs of cranial nerves carry information from your senses to and from the brain and body. Lower in the brain, we find the cerebellum, which plays a key role in motor control, coordination, and spatial navigation, so we can find our way out of a maze, for example. Underneath is the brainstem, which connects the brain to the spinal cord, a nerve pathway that runs all the way down your back, sending and receiving information from your senses. The brainstem includes the pons, which helps control our breathing, and the medulla oblongata, which regulates our heart and other body reflexes like vomiting, coughing, sneezing, and swallowing. The limbic system, a region under the cortex, processes our emotions and drives. It contains the brain's reward circuit, which releases the chemical dopamine, making us feel pleasure. The anticipation of pleasure motivates us to repeat important human behaviors like eating, having fun with friends, or falling in love. But it also encourages us to repeat risky behaviors like taking drugs. Drugs signal the brain to release unusually strong amounts of dopamine. This flood of dopamine causes the high that drug users seek and makes it difficult to enjoy more normal, simple pleasures. Repeated activation of this reward pathway can lead to addiction. The limbic system includes the amygdala, which processes emotions, and the hippocampus in the temporal lobe, which is like a memory indexer that sends memories to certain parts of the brain for storage and retrieves them when you need them. The brain controls many actions through rapid nerve impulses, but there are some body functions that the brain modulates over many hours or days by secreting hormones via special glands like the hypothalamus, which wakes you up in the morning and gets the adrenaline flowing, like during a test or athletic event. The pituitary gland, often called the master gland, which helps control growth, body temperature, pregnancy, and childbirth. And the tiny pineal gland, which helps to control sleep and circadian rhythms. These are just a few of the parts and functions of the beautiful, amazing, and complex human brain. It is the center of our world and seat of our intelligence. We must exercise it, protect it, and understand how important it is to every thought and action in our daily lives.
Facts. Americans consume too much sodium. Sodium raises blood pressure and puts you at risk for heart disease or stroke. What's too much? Most people consume more than 3,400 milligrams a day, but less than 2,300 is recommended. Even less for others. A lot of sodium is hidden in processed foods, not the salt shaker. A regular sandwich can have over 1,500 milligrams of sodium. Guess what? Add a can of soup and you're over the limit. Here's what you can do. Buy fresh, frozen, or no salt added canned vegetables and eat more fruit. Use fresh poultry, fish, and other lean meats. Use low or reduced sodium items and limit sauces and mixes. Choose wisely when eating out. Restaurant food can be high in sodium. Ask for low sodium options. Most importantly, learn to read nutrition facts labels. Less sodium, better health.
Which one? That one? Mommy bite?
We were both in the military, serving on the East Coast.
And I came out to the base. I was going to get my gear, and lo and behold, this guy is the one behind the counter. Water.
You good?
Did it.
15 years later, now we have 4 boys. So one's 8, one's about to turn 6, and then one will be 4 and one will be 2.
You're doing great. Watch your fingers. That's good, honey. That's good. Feeding my family, it takes a lot of food. They need to be fed food that will help them grow their minds, their body, their spirit. We do pancakes, we do waffles, and we do crepes. We use 100% whole wheat, and those come out, my kids don't know the difference. And we actually like them, my husband and I.
Be able to prepare food and have the boys understand where it comes from and the importance of education as well as nutrition. It's a priority to us. I'm glad that she can do it, but more importantly that she continues to do it while I'm gone.
Carlos, what did you do?
Garlic. I put in the garlic.
Garlic. When Dad's not home, Mom does it all, and it's tough. Nice, Carlos! What we eat is who we become.
Banana's my favorite fruit, and carrot's my favorite vegetable.
Good job. They love to help me cook.
Can I do that?
So I like to give them jobs, and they feel very important. Like for the little ones, you get to take the carrots out, and then the other one gets to cut the carrots. Having them involved in the dinner process, to me, it's what's important. It makes them know that we eat our food together, we make our food together, we know what we're eating. I have a menu board that I have up in the kitchen where the boys can see it. It goes from Monday to Sunday. We have to do grocery shopping, and I'm kind of, I think, strategic about it. I know my prices, and I know where I'm saving and where I'm not. Hot diggies, blow it. I want them to think real and food and like see the source. Oh my goodness, you're a broccoli monster.
Teaching them the value of nutrition is something that they'll take with them in a last lifetime, as well as hopefully they pass on to their kids as well.
Wow. I'm Rocio, and these are my family's healthy eating solutions.
My son, Christopher Parado, was 20 years old when he was prescribed opioids. It took him 5 days to get addicted. I'm not supposed to be the one to go get his suit and tie and pick which sneakers that I'm gonna bury him in. My son overdosed at the age of 22 years old.
Ever hear someone with a drug problem talk about quitting? And then they try to quit on their own with no help. They tell their friends they've given up drugs forever. It usually doesn't work. Eventually they slip and start using again. Why are drugs so hard to quit? Because addiction is a brain disease. Addiction is when you feel a strong urge to keep taking a drug even if it is causing harm. To stop, ask for help. Your brain is like a control tower. It sends out signals that direct your actions and choices. When you take drugs, the chemical signals in your brain change. This affects your choices, your actions, and even the way you feel. The part of your brain that lets you feel pleasure can be changed by drugs. Normally, this pleasure center is active when you eat, fall in love, or experience something else you enjoy. After a while, the drug becomes more important. When someone takes a drug, they first feel a rush or a high. But over time, the high is not as strong, and they need the drug to keep from feeling bad. This is what happens when you are addicted. But you don't have to stay that way. Quitting drugs is hard, but it can be done. If you or someone you love has a problem, get help. Find drug treatment near you. Call 1-800-662-HELP. Want to learn more? Find easy-to-read drug facts at www.easyread.drugabuse.gov.
A disease threat anywhere is a disease threat everywhere. In today's interconnected world, a disease can be transported to any major city in as little as 36 hours. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention works 24/7 to protect the American people from dangerous health threats, including those that begin overseas.
Outbreaks of Zika and Ebola remind us that health threats are not limited to one country, one issue, or one pathogen. The U.S. cannot protect its borders and the health of its citizens without addressing diseases elsewhere in the world.
Our global programs are run by world experts who track and stop dangerous health threats, who monitor on a daily basis 30 to 40 outbreaks.
I would say the HIV, you think you've won, but you didn't. Now we're in a space where, people are living, so HIV, you're not winning today. I learned about my HIV status when I was 16 at the Howard University. They had a health fair there, and 3 random people asked me did I ever take an HIV test, and I took one and discovered that I was HIV positive from that point on. And I remember my guardian, my mother died of AIDS complications. I remember my guardian telling me, don't tell anybody, keep it a secret, it could be our secret. And I just had this epiphany, like, no, this is the reason why I'm finding out 16 years later, because we kept it a secret for far too long. The physical concerns that I had pretty much was definitely around death. I remember just really thinking about who was going to get what when I died. My brother was going to get stuffed animals. Destiny's Child was going to sing at the funeral. And it was just, I really just had this wild imagination in terms of what everything would be like. But then I kind of stopped it because I was like, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon after I did more research. I mean, at 16, when I first learned of it, I didn't know how long I should be able to wait without taking medication, so I just wanted to follow the recommendations of taking it now, which seems to be the message now, like start treatment earlier. The advice I would give someone who's newly diagnosed with HIV, I definitely would say start treatment as soon as you can, because I think once your body gets to lower levels, it's really kind of hard to bring it back up. In terms of inflammation, we definitely want to make sure that you are taking care of your viral load and the amount of HIV in your system before it gets, out of hand. I definitely understand the fear. I mean, I definitely have gone through it. I understand it pretty well. I also understand it from a standpoint of being off of treatment for a number of years and kind of like playing with the medications, so to speak, kind of like taking it. I'll take it 5 days a week, but I won't take it on a weekend. Kind of playing with it that way, and that was basically off my own ignorance and not really understanding that these medications are keeping me alive and keeping me well. It's so many tiers to living well, not only just physically, but you also have to have great emotional health. Who can you cry to? Who can you just let your guard down with? As far as the mental health, who can you talk to about the struggles you have with HIV? You are alive, and because you are alive, you still have time, and you still have the power to do what you still want to do. And I think that when people hear those words that you're positive, I think they just feel like they just give up hope. And I think that is, if anything, that should inspire you to do more. What more can I do with my life? How can I live my best life? HIV treatment works. Get in care, stay in care, live well.
I advocate for cycling for a whole number of reasons. It helps us deal with the constraints of a very small, dense city. It helps us deal with some of our health issues that are very common in our city, and it helps make our city more affordable for folks of limited means. Bicycling is cheaper than a monthly transit pass. It's cheaper than paying insurance for a car. It's quicker than walking, and you don't have to spend 10 minutes finding a place to park. When we have cycling infrastructure like lanes and sharrows, it encourages more people to use the street, which is a huge help to us, because the more people are on the road, the safer the other folks that don't yet ride a bike feel. A sharrow is a symbol that is used on lower traffic streets that tend to be narrower, where there's not enough space for a bicycle lane. And that symbol is really big and really obvious, and it helps to remind people that the street is meant for use by both automobiles and bicycles. When there's a lane or a sharrow, it helps people feel safer in getting on that bike for the first time. And then a bicycle corral fits onto the parallel parking lane of a street, and it provides parking spaces for bicycles. A lot of folks would lock their bicycles on the sidewalk up against a tree or up against a stop sign, and that would very frequently cause problems because it takes up a lot of sidewalk space. In the case of Philadelphia, our corrals accommodate 12 bicycles in the space of one car. And we can, in fact, afford to sacrifice the space of one car for the space of 12 bicycles. Our business owners, in fact, are really keen to do it because that's 12 potential customers instead of one. The more people do it, the more other people want to do it, which is awesome. In order to help a colleague in another city pitch this to their clients, I'd say it's kind of a magic bullet of city planning.
When you can do something good, you do something right, and you get sales to go along with it, then it works for everybody.
All the little changes, all the little steps you can take along the way provide a healthier and safer place for people to live and work. Like Jim Opp had started the healthy aisles in the grocery stores.
Anybody that's got little kids, they come to the grocery store, they get down the checkout lane, and the child's grabbing candy bars or pop or something. And now when we're looking at putting healthy snacks up here, it offers that option.
When you go to the checkouts, I definitely notice that there's bananas and yogurt instead of the candy bars, and there's not pop in there, you know, there may be some juice.
A lot of the items around the checkout front end is $1. Let's face it, eating healthy sometimes costs you a little bit more. I mean, some of these items are $2, $3. So not only are you increasing your revenue, but it also helps increase the profit within the store.
I think if the kids get something, they're usually happy. And if it's a banana or an apple, they're still happy because they got something. The parents happy because it's healthy.
They have delicious food, and I like to grab apples and grapes because I love them.
What surprised us was some of the items that sold up here that necessarily we weren't selling back in the aisles of the store. But we brought them up front, and all of a sudden our sales doubled, sometimes even tripled on items that we wouldn't have thought about. And the other thing is, it helps move some of those items that we might even have to mark down as they get past their prime. So by getting them up here, we're able to move a few more of them.
I can't stress enough how important it is to improve the healthy lifestyle, quality of life of the city.
Having a healthy workforce and having a healthy population, you know, means longevity for your city.
Companies that want to move to a city, that's what they look for.
Also, in the cereal aisle, there are toys that require activity. You know, the jump ropes, jacks, things that require them to move.
And I think if you encourage kids, they like to be outside and they like to do things that are more active.
Sales actually have been very surprising out of this aisle.
They will wait in this line a little bit longer to make sure that their kids come through this lane.
It's easier that there's healthier choices there to tell her, yes, she can have something when we're checking out.
It's a win-win for us. When it comes right down to it, sometimes you just do things because it's the right thing to do, and this was the right thing to do.
In 2003, 4, and 5, we had really high runaway increases in our health insurance premiums. It was a big risk factor for us financially that we had little to no control over. So we started exploring alternative ways to finance our health insurance program. Ultimately, in 2007, we launched our wellness program.
If I were to help someone start a wellness program, they're typically
few ways to do that. One is just looking at where you're spending your money, your health insurance. The second would be, what are your competitors doing? And then the third is grassroots, is do you have a champion or a committee that really will get in there and shake the bushes and get something started on their own? Our wellness program is successful for 3 reasons. The most important is probably our leadership. They are unyielding when it comes to the support that they provide for us. The second is we have a credentialed team on the ground to serve our people. And the third is we have a very simple plan design. The 5 areas that really drive our health insurance: obesity, tobacco use, cholesterol, blood sugar or blood glucose, we're looking for diabetes, and blood pressure. That's called metabolic syndrome, which is the biggest driver in health insurance.
When we started our program, our expectations were just try to control cost. And it's far outperformed those expectations. We've controlled costs much better than we thought. We've seen our employees buy into the program. We've seen them see it as a benefit, and we are seeing a dollar return for our investment. It's been a great investment for the company.
It was slow getting started. There's been lots of changes since then, but all of them for the better. And when I had my physical, I was overweight, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. At that time, I made the decision, well, I'm going to go strong with this wellness program we got at work and get my health back right. Since then until now, I've lost 90 pounds.
One of the things I really like about the wellness program is how convenient it is. You know, I can go right across the street and have a doctor over there. We have a nutritionist. We have a personal trainer. All these things are very convenient and at my fingertips. I love it. Everything I learn here, I take it to my family, and we all participate.
Of course, when your wife's in it and you're in it, your kids are healthy too. And so it's a whole kind of chain reaction and lifestyle of living healthy. The wellness program has definitely increased my work performance. I've lost 25 pounds, and doing that has made me faster at my job and better at my job. There's so many benefits in the program itself. To lose that, it would be silly.
I have bad cholesterol, let's say that way, and I have a problem with my diabetes, and right now I have everything under control.
It's great to see folks who, when we started, they didn't buy in. They told me that I didn't belong here, I wasn't supposed to be in construction, and now they're our greatest fans. So just to see that shift where they have had good things come from having a wellness program, it's changed their life.
At Nabholz, we consider the value on our investment to be excellent, both in terms of our employee engagement, the money that we've been able to save, and the overall satisfaction of the employees with the program.